Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Moore.
Thank you, my friends. Welcome once again to another edition of... I tried to do a leaping ride onto this thing, and I'm trapped. I can't get up. There you go. I should know better at my age. Anyhow, welcome to another edition of To Tell the Truth. Our first guest today has a most unusual picture collection, more than 20,000 different pictures, and all of the same person. Now, here she is as a little girl. I wonder if anybody in the studio audience can recognize that picture. Well, I hear a few guesses out there, but none of them too, Shirley Temple? No, I'm sorry. Let's see how good our panel's memory is as we meet them all here on To Tell the Truth.
Bill Cullen. Peggy Cass. Orson Bean. And Kitty Carlisle.
I don't really expect anybody to recognize this picture, but who knows? Pass it on down there, Bill, and everybody take a look at it. See if it's somebody who grew up to be somebody else.
It's Peggy Cass.
Peggy Cass.
It is not. Are you kidding? That's not me.
Were you cuter or not as cute or what?
I didn't have so much hair. Well, wasn't curly. Besides,
Well,
that's an Italian person.
well, that's an Italian person, huh? All right, let's see if you recognize the very latest photograph of this lovely lady. Here's the photograph on your monitor down here.
Gina Lollobrigida.
Gina Lollobrigida is your guess, huh?
Well, no.
What does the audience say? Lana Turner. There you go.
Turner.
Now, both of these pictures are just two of many, many, many belonging to our first guest. Let's meet him right now.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Lou Valentino.
Number two.
My name is Lou Valentino.
Number three.
My name is Lou Valentino.
All right, our job, of course, being to identify the real Lou Valentino, and here's his story. I, Lou Valentino, am the world's greatest Lana Turner fan. It all started when I was younger, and I developed a passion for the beautiful blonde Lana. I began saving every picture of her that I could find. Movie stills, Lux soap ads, and magazine covers. Friends, relatives, and fellow Lana fans constantly sent me pictures until today my collection numbers more than 20,000. After years of worshiping her from afar, I finally got to meet Lana Turner on a trip to California. She had dinner with me, and afterwards she posed for my very own camera while I eagerly took snapshots of her outside the restaurant. It's not only the still pictures of Lana that I like, but the ones that move as well. In fact, I've seen every movie she ever made. Signed, Lou Valentino. And while we gaze at all these gorgeous pictures and have a good time doing that, you amuse yourself with the following. Now, remember that each of these three gentlemen claims to be the Lana Turner fan extraordinaire. His name is Lou Valentino. One of them is. Let's start the questioning with Orson, please.
Yes, I have a collection of stills of Turhan Bey, Sabu, some of the greats and the near greats. I'd be willing to make some trades with you. Number two, are you completely faithful to Lana? Do you have pictures of any of the other ladies on the silver screen?
Yes, I'm completely faithful. I just collect like a couple of stars that.
Yeah.
But none compared to Turner.
Number three, do you have any pictures of Lana Turner from ice cream cups, hoodsies we used to call them where I lived? Where you open up an ice cream cup and you lick it and you get a picture of Smiley Burnett, perhaps.
No, I only have the Lux pictures
Only
from
the
Lux ads.
pictures, yeah. Number one, but Lana Turner was on those ice cream cups, I believe, inside the covers. Was she or not?
That's right, she was.
Yeah.
I have a few.
I still have a couple of old Wallace Beerys around. That's who I used to.
Very good.
If I was a girl, I would have married Brian Donlevy. Or he could have just taken me away and did what he wanted with me. I was crazy for Brian Donlevy. Number one, now, all the time.
Thank you, Orson. We learned an awful lot about you. Let's go to Kitty Carlisle.
Number one, what do you do when you're not pursuing this extensive hobby?
I'm glad you asked that. I work for Life magazine. I'm in the layout department.
Ah, well. Number 2, you don't live in California then?
No, I do not.
And all this happened from here. And number 3, you woke up as a little boy and said, it's got to be Lana?
It started with my babysitter, actually.
Tell me about it.
Well, she used to watch movies mostly about Alan Ladd, and I got involved with Lana Turner. I didn't like Alan Ladd as a little boy.
Unfortunate. Number 1, where do you keep your collection?
I have a small room in the basement, Kitty. They're kept in files and...
Thank you. And number 2,
Thank you, Kitty.
what do you do?
We'll save that till later.
All
Let's
right.
go to Bill.
Well, that's a good question. Number 2, what do you do?
I'm a freelance fashion illustrator.
Number 3, where did you get this? This is a picture we saw originally of Lana when she was just a little girl. Where did you get, what was your source for that?
I got that from another collector. I traded him some things for it. It meant, it's like an unofficial fan club, and
I
that's
see.
where I got that one. It's-
Number 1, what was her name then?
Her real name?
Yes. Yeah, I guess
Julia Jean Turner. She was called Judy, I believe, as a child.
Oh, Turner was her real name.
Yes, last name, yes.
Number 3, I imagine through the years you've spent a lot of money on this collection of yours. Do you have any estimate of how much it cost you for the photos and the postage and things like that?
Not really, but most of them have been gotten through kind friends and people who know I'm interested in this, and the amount of money that I've spent has been very little, mostly postage and writing back and forth.
Number 2, Lana Turner was one of the big pinup girls in World War II. Could you tell me who is the big pinup girl now for the servicemen in the Vietnam conflict?
It's Raquel Welch.
Oh, Raquel is the big, she is a big pinup girl.
Imagine
all right.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about you, Peggy?
She just edged me out last week, Raquel Welch. I was the leader. Kind of left. Number 2, what studio is Lana Turner? Was she with? What was her big studio?
Oh, MGM.
Thank you. And number 3, was she really discovered in a drugstore?
Well, she was supposed to have been discovered in Schwab's, but she wasn't. There was another drugstore across from the high school where she lived.
Oh, and
She
number
went
1, who discovered her?
Well, people
She,
say it was-
No, number 1.
She was discovered by a man named Billy Wilkerson. He was the editor of the Hollywood Reporter.
Thank you. Number 3, what do you do? We got what the other 2 do. What do you do for a
I
living?
worked for Metropolitan Life.
Thank you. Number 1, who produced Madam X?
Ross Hunter.
Thank you. And number 3, who's her favorite designer? I like her myself, you see.
Well, it was a fellow by the name with a French name, myself.
Thank you. Number 2, how did you get the pictures? By just writing away and sending 25 cents?
Oh, it started that way, but mainly I would go to collector shops and all sorts of places. And
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Peg. And we have to make up our minds now as to which one of these gentlemen is truly the fellow in mind. Let us mark our ballots for 1, or for 2, or for 3. $50 is what we pay for each wrong vote. $500 if all the votes are wrong. And Orson?
I was all set to vote for 2. His eyes remind me of Celia's eyes. You know who Celia is?
No, who's Celia?
Celia's the queen of the autograph hounds. Same eyes. I only in that respect. It's a glint in the eyes. Only that you don't look like Celia.
oh, thanks a lot.
I mean, I'm not knocking Celia.
No.
Get out of there.
I voted, however, at the last minute for 1 because he rolled his eyes skyward a couple of times when asked what her real name was, things that the real one would have known like that. Things that the liars would have known like that because they would have studied him. Therefore, only the real one, in attempting to look like he had recently learned it, would have rolled his eyes skyward.
Thank you, Senator Claghorn. And Kitty, are you still here?
Well, I'm absolutely dazzled by all of this dialogue. I didn't vote for 3 because I didn't believe that story about his babysitter. And number 1 was very anxious to tell us that he was with Life magazine, and sometimes the real one doesn't always like to volunteer information. So I voted for number 2. And anyway, I was crazy about Valentino when I was young, and you remind me of him.
Hey, maybe we got something going here. Bill?
You know, with one exception, my reasoning's exactly the same as Orson. I was all set to vote for number 2 because he does have that look in his eyes, and that's where the exception is. I stopped changing there, so I stuck with number 2. I mean, I didn't go through the rolling the eyes when he gave it.
Celia's eyes, you mean?
Yes, it looks like, that's right.
So we got 1 for 1, we got 2 for 2, and what does Peggy think?
Well, you see, number 3 said his babysitter liked Alan Ladd, but I don't think when you were a little baby you were watching television. I think number 2 was watching television when he was a little baby. But she wasn't in any pictures with Alan Ladd, was she? Well, anyway, Billy Wilkerson. Well, there you are, too.
She was too tall for
I kind of get the
Alan
feeling that each of us is conducting a little private program of his own here. We're all operating in a little tiny vacuum here. In any event, the votes are all in, and so will the real Lou Valentino. Please stand up. There you go. Who was? Is that Orson? Good lad, Orson. Playing the game. Let's find out about our imposters. Number 2. Wow, you got 3 wrong votes. What is your real name, please?
My name is George Zeno. I'm a salesman at G. Sherman's Music Store.
Like you said. Number 3, I guess you got nothing but my sympathy. What is your name? And
My name is Peter Lightson. I've just recently retired from the trucking business.
Recently retired from the trucking business. Lou, I don't like to brag, but there's a young lady out in Rahway, New Jersey, who has a collection of every glamour picture of me.
No?
She keeps both of them in her wallet. That's the entire total collection over the years. What started you on this, really, Lou? You were the only one we didn't ask that about.
Yeah, well, it's true. It started with a girl who used to take care of me when I was very young. And it blossomed out, and I kept on doing it as I was growing up because it was a tremendously fun hobby. Mm-hmm. Of course, I had a lot of help through friends and relatives, motion picture companies, and so forth like that.
Are there any pictures of Miss Turner around that you do not have that you know about?
Oh, my God, yeah, sure. Plenty. I'm constantly getting them. I got about 10 of them in the mail yesterday from Europe.
From Europe?
Yeah.
For heaven's sakes. Well, we thought we had a dandy surprise for you. We thought that we had the only picture of Lana Turner that you didn't have, and so we went to a great deal of trouble and went over to our good friends at ABC TV and got the latest dandy picture. And Lou, come on here. Here's the newest pinup for you, but you don't have that
Son
one.
of a gun, I don't have it. I've been looking for this.
Now you got it, huh? There you go, Lou.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you, fellas, for being with us. Oh, hey, now I got something fascinating to show you. Excuse me. Bill, you want to pass these things down? I'll keep one for myself.
Slide rules.
Kind of a slide rule, yeah. Our next guest has invented a new and different kind of slide rule. Anybody got any ideas as to what it's used for?
To figure the races?
For what, Peggy?
To figure the races?
Wouldn't you figure that out? Yes, that's exactly what it's for.
You think I'm so dumb?
No. It's a slide rule to figure out the horses. Fascinating thing. Where's the camera? There we go, over there. You got a picture of it, huh? All right, we're going to find out about this in just a moment after a couple of messages. And now let's meet the gentleman who has invented a new kind of slide rule.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Alton Kelsey.
Number 2.
My name is Alton Kelsey.
Number 3.
My name is Elton Kelsey.
All right, and here's Alton Kelsey's story. Pay close heed. I, Alton S. Kelsey, unhesitatingly announce that everyone can be a winner at the racetrack. I have devised a foolproof system for selecting horses that will invariably finish in the money. It involves what I call the principle of established class. It's all based on the premise that the thoroughbred class is best measured by the size of the purses that a horse has successfully competed for in the recent past. In order to simplify the procedure, I have developed a kind of a slide rule that automatically tells you how and when and if you should bet. Using simple data from past performance charts, my calculator indicates prime bets, long shot bets, daily doubles, and show parlays. Incredibly, this takes less than 30 seconds per horse. I'm really thrilled at the way my system works. Amazingly enough, I developed it without ever having been to the racetrack. Signed, Alton S. Kelsey. And we'll start the question with a gal who would live at the racetrack if they rented rooms out there, Peggy Cass.
Thank you. Number 3, I had a slide rule for the track, and it took a genius to work it. Is yours easier?
Well, you're interested in how easy it is or whether it works?
Well, it says 30 seconds per horse, so if you're not kidding me...
It depends on how much experience you have with it. In the beginning, it might take you a minute and a half.
Well, it took me like 2 hours for a horse on the other one. Number one, do you need the Daily Telegraph to work this?
Yes, ma'am. That is one of the qualifications.
Thank you.
That or the Bible.
That or the Bible. Well, what about the racing? Number two, would the racing form do just as well?
Yes, it will.
Thank you. Number one, does this work for a claiming race? Would it work for a claiming race? Number one?
Yes, ma'am, it will.
Thank you. Number two, did it pick Dust Commander?
No, it did not.
Now, number two,
Thank you, Peggy. Let's go to Orson.
What is Dust Commander, a former winner?
He won the Kentucky
It's the head of the
Derby.
sanitation department.
Oh, number three,
$32.
who was Ken Kling? Does that name mean anything to you?
Yes, he had he wrote Asbestos. He was a leading handicapped.
Joe and Asbestos, a great little comic strip. Number one, tell me, can you in a nutshell sum up how it works? What do you do?
Yes, your first two columns are permanently on the board.
Yeah.
Then you take your racing form on your second column.
Yeah.
And you figure there you compute from the...
That's this one?
No, the third one over, yes. And then on the last column is the money column. And you take what the horses won for, if there's enough races in the current year, you use just the current year. If not, you use the second year too.
Now you know all about it, Orson. Let's go to Kitty.
Number two, are you an insurance actuary?
No, I'm not.
How did you get the idea to invent this?
It was a form of a challenge from a friend of mine.
And number three, why didn't you go to the races?
Oh, I do.
Well, it says you invented this with never having been near the racetrack.
Well, my friend is the one that was interested in going, interested in betting on the horses. So he came to me with it. He says, why can't we have a better way of doing it?
And then you went to the racetrack.
Not really, no.
Number one, what does the Bible have to do with your slide rule?
Well, the Bible is another name for the racing form.
Oh, I thought it had to do with the Bible. Number two, why did you say, you said Dust Commander would not have shown up on this slide. Why is that? Because it hadn't run enough races?
That particular race was one in which none of the horses had gone the distance. And,
so there was no way of telling.
Whole new ball game on the Kentucky Derby of 1970. Right. And Bill Cullen?
You know, by the time I learned how to work this, it's nothing wrong with the computer, it's me. By the time I learned how to work this, all the horses around would be dead. Number one, what is your background, sir?
My background is being married to a woman who was bitten by the ponies.
I see. Well, that's better than nothing. Number three, since you've invented this and used it, what is your profit and loss situation? I assume you bet.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. How do you stand, sir?
Made $30,000 in 1 year.
$30,000?
$30,000 in 1 year.
That's profit?
Profit, sure.
Now, number two, you have a factor in all horse racing. I don't care how you figure it, and that is, how does a horse feel on a given day? They might not even know that until they bring him out to the paddock. Doesn't that enter in and blow this thing into a cocked-hat, number two?
No, that's certainly a factor, but it is our factor, which this is based upon, is by far the most important single factor in handicapping. We don't get all the races naturally.
Well, that's as much information as we can glean at the moment. Let us place our bets. We place our bets on number one, or number two, or number three. $50 is a penalty for a wrong bet. $500 of all the bets go down the drain, and Peggy Cat starts, please.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. No doubt at all. It's two.
Just unequivocally.
Takes one to know one.
Okay, Orson?
There were good liars. One spins a fantastic imagery. However, I had to vote for two as well.
What do you got there? Two torn up ticket stubs?
Yeah, lying on the ground
picture.
where I left them.
Sad picture.
Well, it's funny. I had a feeling that number two had a kinship with Peggy, who likes racing, because he sounds as if he had a Boston accent. So I voted for two.
Okay, so far it's 3 for 2. And what does Bill Collins say?
Huh? Well, I figure if we all voted for the same one and we were wrong, it would bust the company. So I voted for number 7.
Turn it around, you rat.
Oh, I have it. Yes, well, that's one of those things.
That was a good try, Bill, but we're way out on a limb. We have 4 votes for number 2, and let's find out about it, for heaven's sakes. Well, the real Alton Kelsey, please stand up. Wow! Let's check out number 1. What is your name, sir, and what do you do?
Bud Wisher. I am in the management of marketing and sales executive.
And number 3, what is your name, sir, and what do you really do?
My name is Richard Corey, and I arrange weddings and affairs at the Dance Center in Manhattan.
Alden, I'd like to ask the same question that was asked of number 3, which is, have you ever put this to practical use yourself? Do you bet?
Oh, certainly.
Do you prosper at it?
Do you work for the IRS?
Pardon?
You work for the IRS?
No, sir, I'm not after your income tax information.
Yes, we do very nicely.
If I were you, I would just keep one for myself and go out and do the betting and forget selling the thing. You got the big secret here. Thank you, Alton and friends, for being with us here on To Tell the Truth.
Up next on Game Show Network, play What's My Line, followed by The Price is Right and the $100,000 Pyramid.
Promotional consideration provided by American Airlines. Traveling on business or traveling for fun, it's good to know you're on American Airlines. Hotel accommodations courtesy of Delmonico's Hotel on fashionable Park Avenue, ideal for gracious living. Visit famous Delmonico's restaurant for superb continental cuisine. This is Johnny Olson speaking for To Tell the Truth, a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.